Good evening, students. Welcome to Byju's. Welcome to yet another session where we are discussing the weekly current affairs. Now, those who are attending the session for the first time, you have to understand what we do over here is in the past 1 week, there would have been important current affairs, both from a prelims point of view and from a mains point of view. So, we pick some of those important current affairs and we discuss it in detail. This is what happens over here. Okay, now in this session I can see all of you are still joining. Let all your counterparts join. At this point I just want to ask if my audio is very clear to all of you and my video is also visible. If yes, you can just put the thumbs up sign or the thumbs up emoticon which is there. Yes, so I'm seeing all the yes responses for the audio being clear. Great. Now as we go further, see, I know you all are very new to the app. How are you guys finding the BEP app, the Byju's Exam Prep app? Have you gotten used to it? Are you still finding it, like, okay, there's the change phase, right? The point is, when I started using this app, I really found it very user friendly. Because earlier I had to go and search at every other place for each and every resource. Right now, everything is in one single place. So yeah, I can see a lot of you are getting used to it. Yeah, it'll take time, but then I'm telling you, this is something that will solve all your searching issues. You don't have to go around, you don't have to call each and every time and ask, okay, where is this, where is that? Every other thing is going to be there on your BEP app. Now coming to this, you can see those who are very new to this app, the process as to which you can enter into the app, you can just give your phone number. Once you give the phone number, or you can even log in using your registered email ID. Mind you, the registered email ID is the one that is there, you have the one that you have used to register at Byju's. Okay, now after that, once you log in over here, you will come to a page where they ask you as to what course you've joined. So you can choose IAS over here. And even in IAS, you have the option to take IAS normal or IAS Hindi, whichever is your stream, you can choose that. Once you do that, you'll come to the home page. Now, let me tell you, if you have joined for the tablet learning program, you're going to have one kind of a home page. And if you've joined for the online classroom program, you're going to have a different kind of a home page. If you've joined for the tablet learning program, your home page will have the home symbol over here, practice and test series. Whatever is the courses or whatever are the videos that are available for you will be all put into that home page. On the other hand, if you have joined for the classroom program or the BHLP program, which is there, you will see that in your home page, you have this My Classroom symbol. And in that My Classroom is where you will be finding all your day-to-day videos. As you have classes in the morning and the evening and all that, all those classes will be there. Okay, so this is just the just starting phase of it. The good point about it is that all your study material, unit tests, webinars, and all the tablet videos which are there, everything will be at one single position. So I hope you guys will get used to it very soon. Now coming over to our session. So again, I always promise I'll bring the most interesting topics to discuss with you. Very similarly, I've brought few interesting topics over here. Obviously, if you are in India in the last 1 week and you've seen the newspapers, one news that will obviously be there as a top priority is what? The presidential elections. We have a new president, and the new president is not just a new president, but she comes along with a lot of additional firsts. So we have to discuss that. We have to discuss about what the presidential election means, how is it conducted, and all these things. So again, I'm hoping you guys will be interested in that topic. Next thing is a very, I'll tell from an IR point of view, this is a topic which is going to have some sort of a victory for India in some place. Now, that is why I've chosen this topic. Why? Because in this specific second topic, which is there, you will start to understand the importance of how India conducts its foreign policy and some of the small victories that we've had over the time. And this second news is primarily a very small diplomatic win that we've had in the very recent times. So again, I am hoping you guys are interested to know the story behind it, why is it important for us, and so on. Next, coming to Indian citizenship. There is a very shocking data that is available right now, and we have to discuss this in the context of Indian citizenship. I won't tell you what the data is, obviously. Why? Because that is going to be the crux of the news that we are discussing. Let it be like a surprise at that point. Next, coming to 1 year of Pegasus revelations. How many of you are aware of Pegasus? Very less number of you, I believe. See, now in the case of Pegasus, this is going to be something that is going to catch your interest. If you're not aware of it, you're going to be shocked and surprised as to something like this happening in a country like ours. So we have to discuss that also. Then finally, DSR technique. I would say this could very well come as a prelims question, and that is why this question or this topic is going to be discussed in detail. Now, without much delay, let's go into the first topic, the presidential elections. How many of you have been following the presidential elections that have been happening? Lot of you. Yes, because see, earlier if you were not an IAS aspirant or UPSC aspirant, you wouldn't be bothered so much. But now things have changed. You are a UPSC aspirant. Now, even if you are not interested full-fledgedly in the presidential election, you have to understand this is for sure your prelims question, and those of us who are qualifying prelims next year, this some variant of this will come as a mains question also. What do we have to know from this point? Let's try figuring it out. Now, you have to understand the reason why this presidential election is so important is not just because we have a new president, but this new president elect happens to be the first in a lot of fields. Let's see what it is. So, Madam Draupadi Murmu has recently made history by becoming the first tribal leader to be elected president of India. She is the 15th president of India, and she is the youngest to hold the office. Not only that, she is the first president of India to be born in independent India. Until now, we've had presidents who were born before, like before 1947. Right now is for the first time we have a president who's born in independent India. Okay, so she is the first tribal leader to become the president of India. She is the youngest to become the president of India. She is also the first person or the first president that we have had who has been born in independent India. So a lot of firsts. But obviously, do you think UPSC will be bothered about all these firsts? Because if we were writing a state PSC exam, all these first, who's the first thing, who's the first, all that kind of questions will be important. But right now, that is not important. What is important from our point of view is how is the election of president happening in India? Very simple. We have in our constitution mentioned that according to Article 62 of the Indian Constitution, every time there is what you say, when there is a vacancy created in the office of president, you have to conduct the elections. What is mentioned over there? An election to fill the vacancy caused by the expiration of the term of office of an outgoing president is required to be completed before the expiration of the term. Sounds a little bit legal. I'll make it simple for you. If there is a president in office, how many years is he going to be in office? He or she? For 5 years. Now they are saying the next president should be elected before this 5 years gets over. Now the next president will be elected before the 5 years gets over, but they will take up the role only after the 5 years of that previous president is over. So if you have President Ramnath Kovind at this point, once his term gets over, then you will have Madam Draupadi Murmu taking up the role. Understand? So this is what Article 62 says. But from this, what is clear to us? Article 62 makes it very clear we have to conduct elections for president. You cannot select someone, you have to elect the president of India. Now coming to the point, how do you elect? And to explain this, let's go back to our school. How many of you have been this have stood for these class monitor elections? When we were in school, we have these things, no? Two or three of them will be the very extremely competitive people saying that, I want to become the class monitor. No, 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 I want to become. And there'll be the situation where, two or three people have to be elected. How many? Oh, we have a lot of ex-class monitors in our class today. Now, coming over here, let's just imagine, go back to that school. Okay. Now, this is a very competitive class. So there are three of you standing for elections. Okay. Now the teacher is like, okay, fine. There are two ways to conduct elections. Now, if you want to ensure that none of the students feel bad, see, you all are small kids. There is a situation where, someone is saying that, okay, how many of you are voting for Pranit? At that point, everyone will be like, okay, we all are voting. So the other people will feel bad, no? So what was done is what? The teacher will give a piece of paper to everyone and say, see, you write your preferences. If there are three people, you say person A or person B or person C. What is your order of preference? Okay. So obviously, who has a best friend over there? They will be like, okay, fine. My first preference is obviously my best friend. Second one would be someone. And third one would be someone I don't like at all. So the three preferences are given. Then what the teacher will do? The teacher will see how many people, for example, there is a person A, there is a person B, and a person C. The teacher will see for person A, how many votes or how many people have given first preference votes. For person B, how many has given first preference votes. And for person C, how many has given first preference votes. Now, when the teacher looks at the first preference, second preference, and third preference, it becomes very clear, very less people prefer person C. So what the teacher will do? The teacher will be like, see, not a lot of people want you. So we'll do one thing. You can be out of, but then still there will be the number of people who have preferred. For example, at least 8 or 10 people would have preferred person C. So he can be assured that, okay, I have 8 supporters in my class. Okay. Then, but he will be like, okay, he will drop out of the election. What happens? Those 8 votes of person C will be divided, or then the teacher will check, okay, those people who gave first preference as person C, what are their second and third preferences? Based on that, she will divide the votes to A and B. Now the election or now the competition is just between A and B. And finally, they will choose a person based on who gets the most number of first preference votes. Not only first preference votes, cumulatively, okay, first preference comes as equal for both. Then the teacher will check second preference what comes. Then even second preferences are equal means then they will check third preference how many votes are there. And finally, it gets elected. One person becomes the class monitor. Now, this method that was followed was called or is called as proportional representation using single transferable vote. Why? What is this proportional representation using single transferable vote? You are a classmate of that in that class. You have not just one vote. You can say whom do you prefer first, whom do you prefer second, whom do you prefer third. So it's not like I'm saying, okay, I want A or I want B. That same vote can be used to say your preferences. This is why it is called as a single but transferable vote. Is this concept clear to all of you? Okay, yeah. Someone has said this is exactly like how we fill the UPSC post while filling the form. Okay, now again, that again is a slightly different process, but then again, you can compare some part of it. Okay, I think for most of you it is clear. If it's not clear, don't worry. We will get back to it again. See, the idea is, instead of just coming to class and saying how many of you want A, how many of you want B, that system is what we do in our normal elections. What we do in our normal elections, we go to the polling station, we vote for one person. You don't say, I like this person a little bit more, but I like also this person, and you don't put two votes over there. You don't give preferences. That system which we normally use in the elections is called as first past the post. Meaning, There'll be A, there'll be B, there'll be like 15 people saying we want A, there'll be like 12 people saying that we want B, and when you look at the majority, you have 15 people saying they want A, so A wins. But instead of that, what they have done is, so that every other group gets represented in a proper manner, they have ensured this proportional representation. So when you have proportional representation, what you can do is, every single state or every single MLA or MP or anyone who's there in the president's election, they can give a preference. So which means right now when there was an election, what would have happened is, it's not like so many people said we want Draupadi Murmu ma'am as the president, but they would have said, okay, we prefer her first and then the next person second. This is what would have happened. And they will count all the first preferences and all the second preferences, and then they will come to a conclusion. Understand? This is the idea of proportional representation using single transferable vote. Now, it's not only that, the voting shall be by secret ballot. What is the secret ballot? Secret ballot means the vote that you are placing for, or the preferences that you are placing, you should not tell anyone. It should be secretive. And they are very particular about it. They have gone on to say, revealing the vote to anyone under any circumstance is strictly prohibited. Do you guys know something? For this presidential election, you have to place your vote in a specific paper with a specific pen that is given by the election commission. Even if you so much so as use on that day, one MLA is like, hey, I don't like this ballpoint pen, I want to use gel pen, their vote is cancelled. Okay, so whatever pen, whatever ink is given by the election commission on the paper that is given by them, there you have to mark the preferences. It is that strictly conducted. Understand? So here you can see that the revealing the vote is it's clearly prohibited. It is a secret ballot and it is proportional representation using single transferable vote. This is the electoral system that is there when it comes to the president election. When you study your polity, you will study very extensively about president election. You will study who are the members who are involved in the election, who are the elected members, who are the nominated members, all that details you will be, that is the static part of polity, which you will deal over there. What I am dealing over here is some concepts which you might not deal in polity has to be told to you. For example, this thing, electoral officers. See, for every election, you will have electoral officers to conduct the election, right? You have the election commission coming, but the election commission is not going to be present over there while the election is going to happen. The election commission appoints someone called as whom? The returning officer. Who is the returning officer? Now, in this case, who is the returning officer? In this case, because it is such a serious post, it is not like your normal, MLA election or MP election or anything. It's the President of India. So how do they choose this returning officer? The election commission, along with the central government. So you have election commission plus the central government. They will come together, and in your Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there is a role or there is a post called as Secretary General. And mind you, Secretary General is not the same as Speaker or Deputy Speaker. You have Speaker, you have Deputy Speaker, all that is different. Secretary General is an additional post that is created, and it becomes very important in the time of president election. Okay, so the Secretary General, both for Lok Sabha there will be a Secretary General, and for Rajya Sabha also there will be a Secretary General. Now what the election commission will do is, they will check, okay, for the last president election, if the Lok Sabha Secretary General was the returning officer, for this president election, the election commissioner will put the Rajya Sabha Secretary General as the returning officer. So this is done on a rotation basis. Whoever will be the returning officer is chosen by the election commission and central government on a rotating basis. Now, why do you need a returning officer? The returning officer is one of the most crucial posts when it comes to an election. Why? Because the returning officer is the one who will conduct the poll in the house. He will conduct the poll. He will also, whatever votes have been placed, He is the one who has to have complete responsibility of taking the votes, giving it to the election commission, taking any material from there, putting it into the parliament. All these work, all the infrastructural work related to an election is done by returning officer, which means if one box of votes go missing, you will have to look for the returning officer and he will be the one punishable for it. Understand? So in this specific president election, you had the Secretary General of Rajya Sabha being appointed as the returning officer. So everything is clear now. You have the process ready. You have the returning officer also ready. Now who do you need for the election? Now you need the candidates. Now you need the people who are coming to be the, or what you say, the nominated or the people who are hoping to be the president. In that process, it starts off with the nomination paper. For example, if I want to be the president, what I have to do is, I have a nomination paper. I must present the nomination paper to the returning officer. Now, you all know who the returning officer is. Who is the returning officer for this election which is there? The Rajya Sabha Secretary General who was there. So I have to take my nomination paper saying that, see, I'm interested in becoming the president, so and so. These are my details. And I'll go to the returning officer in a location designated by him. And that will be designated in a public notice. I cannot be going to some other place and saying, returning officer, you please come over here and take my nomination. Not possible. I have to go to the place where he designates and I have to hand over the nomination. Now, the nomination can be filled by the candidate himself or herself or by any proposers or seconders. Who is this proposer or seconder? Now, again, going back to our class election, you all remember when you stood for monitor, to be the class monitor, the teacher would have been like, okay, who's proposing this person? One of your friend would be like, I am proposing. Another person will be like, I'm seconding him or I'm seconding her. The same thing happens in president election. Just that in the president election, a candidate's nomination paper must be subscribed by at least 50 electors as proposers and at least another 50 electors as seconders, which means you need at least 100 people supporting your cause or supporting your nomination. Why do you think they put such a huge number? Like 100 people is a huge, no. If you have 100 people, you know, okay, you might even win the election. Why do you need so many people? Why do you guys think it needs so many people for, proposing and seconding the nomination? Let me see how many of you can think in this direction. Yes, Varsha, Subhajit, Nikhil, Said, a lot of you have said, Anjali, Ananya, a lot of you have said as to what is the point. If you have only these many proposers and seconders, now somebody has asked what is proposers. Proposers and seconders are merely supporters of that nomination. Now, if you don't have this clause, like I told, even I can go and give for president election. I can be like, okay, tomorrow I want to, president election has been proclaimed. I will also go give. Now, what I need almost 50 electors as proposers and 50 as my seconders. Will I be able to find that? If I'm not able to find that, I will be deemed as a non-serious candidate. So, to avoid all these non-serious candidates is why this provision has been put. Other provision is also there. Whoever has to stand for the president election, they have to put a security deposit of almost 15,000 rupees. Again, this provision is also given so that non-serious candidates don't take the effort. Every time there is an election proclaimed in India, you would see some or the other person saying that. It will be some random person saying, I am going to stand for president election. Have you seen these news? It comes in news articles and proper news channels and all, like some very weird news which is there. Yes. So you will see that in this case, what happens is that if you have these prerequisites, you will avoid all these unwanted candidates coming and saying, I also want to be president. I also want to stand for election. Okay. Now, each contesting candidate can appoint a representative to be present at each polling place. Okay, so this is like some kind of a provision given so that that transparency is assured. If I am standing for elections, I can appoint a representative of mine in a polling station. What is a polling station? A place where the election happens. Okay, so this is to ensure the transparency in the president election, so that every other candidate, if there are two candidates, both of them can give their representatives. So nobody can tell after the entire thing, there was cheating in the election or there was some rigging in the election. Nobody can complain of it. Now coming into the point, in the election procedures, here is where is something that you might not explicitly study in polity, but you have to know this. In the normal scenario, when you have your MPs and MLAs, there is a role called like whip. 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 Whip normally means what? Have you all seen that kind of a belt in old Hindi movies and all? You will be seeing this villain has some kind of a belt with which he can hit and that sound is created. Derived from that word is this word whip. Okay. Now, what is the idea of whip? The idea of whip in a normal parliament or state assembly is that whenever there is some kind of an important decision, if I am belonging to some party, that party will appoint a person called as the party whip. Okay. And the party whip will be like, okay, this bill is brought for discussion. You all have to vote yes. So if I belong to that party, I have to listen to him. Okay. This is the idea of a whip. So this is normally practiced in almost all the bills that are there. If there is a farm bill, if there's a health bill, any bill which is there, each party will have a whip who will come and say, please assure this, or you vote for so and so things. And that will be done. Okay. But in the case of president elections, you cannot issue a whip to the MPs and MLAs. Meaning, your party whip cannot come and tell you, you vote for so, you vote for this other person. You, even if they are going to say that, you need not even listen to it. If they're saying it itself, that is a wrong thing. Political parties cannot issue any whip to the MPs and MLAs in the matter of voting in the president election. Why? Why do you think so? There must be something, right? Yeah, what is the, I'm asking you that only. Why do you think this is not allowed in the president election? This is such an important role. The president is basically the representative, or he is the one that is going to head the entire executive like this. So in that case, that role shouldn't be coming out of any compulsion. Normally when whip is there, you are, for example, you are in a political party, the whip is coming and telling you, you don't like one particular bill, you have so many disagreements against a bill that is there, the whip is coming and telling you, you have to vote in favor for it. So what you have to constrain is your own freedom of expression, your own ideals, your own values, because you are part of some certain party. This is the point where some people are like, I am leaving this party and my ideology is so different, I am leaving the party, and they will go. But in this case, it is even wrong for them to issue a whip, because this will even destroy the entire idea of having a president. Why? Because president should be the representative in a very non-biased manner. You cannot force a person and say that you please vote for them. This is why this provision has been given. All the vote counting of the president elections will be taking place in New Delhi, which means your voting is happening at which all places? You have the voting happening in the parliament, and you have the voting happening in the individual state assemblies also. But all the votes will be collected together at New Delhi, and the vote will be counted under the supervision of the returning officer. This are some of the extra additional things that you need to know about president elections. Now, after all this process, we have a new president in house, and she is the one who's going to be leading us for the next 5 years. Is this topic clear to all of you? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yeses here. Somebody has asked, can anyone be elected again as president? Yeah, you can stand again as, this is not America or anything. You can stand for the president elections again. There's no compulsion over there. Okay. Let's go into the poll question. Okay, I'll just first read the question out for you. Consider the following statements in relation to the presidential election recently seen in news. Draupadi Murmu became the 15th president of India, becoming the first tribal woman and the youngest to hold the office. The Secretary General of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are designated as returning officers on a rotating basis. Political parties can issue a whip in the presidential elections in India. Three very simple statements. Look at the statements clearly. Which of the statements given above is or are correct is what is being asked. Okay, I'll give you some time to read that question. In the meanwhile, let me just launch the poll. Okay, you can start marking your answers. Don't tense up yourself and mark the wrong answer. This is a very simple question, guys. You have 3, 2, 1, 1 second, and I think the poll is done. Let's see. You have 76% of you marking the right answer. What happened to the others? Look at the third provision, guys. Political parties, and don't start about the leaderboard. I will show the leaderboard. I will show it after 2 questions. First, what is the excitement in seeing the leaderboard after first question? You have to feel some kind of an achievement, right? I'll show it to you after 2 questions. Don't worry. Okay. Now, those who did not mark the right answer, what happened, guys? Look at this question over here. First statement is plainly correct. 15th president, tribal woman, youngest to hold the office. All this is very clear. Second statement is also clear. Political parties can issue a whip in presidential elections. No, the entire discussion was in this case, they cannot issue a whip. Okay. So here, what happens is that statement is wrong. The answer is 1 and 2 only. Okay, somebody has asked what is the meaning of rotating basis. Rotating means for the past election, if the Secretary General of the Lok Sabha was the returning officer, this election the Secretary General of the Rajya Sabha will be the returning officer. The election after 5 years, again the Secretary General of the Lok Sabha will be the returning officer. Rotating basis, just like you have even in your class, the monitor gets rotated. Clear? Okay, so now we go to the next topic, and this I must say is one of the most interesting topics of today. US approved CATSA waiver for India. Okay, hear me out over here, guys. And this has a backstory. This is like a very interesting international relations movie, I can tell you. Why? Because very recently, the United States House of Representatives passed a legislative amendment that approves a India-specific waiver for CATSA sanctions. I know there are a lot of words you have not understood. We will get to it. But what you have to understand is the USA passed a legislative amendment. That you understand what is legislative amendment. In a law of theirs, they made a change, and they made a change only for India. Okay, now what that change is, why they made it for India, all this is what we are going to discuss. So the United States House of Representatives has created a legislative amendment. That means a law of theirs has got changed, and the law has been changed specifically for India. Now, the story of this starts not here. The story of this starts in 2017. In 2017 and the years before, You know United States. When I say United States, what is the first impression that comes to your mind? Let me just ask you, you all would have certain impressions. If I'm saying United States of America, what is the first impression that comes to your mind? Let's see. Capitalism strongest, selfish, oh, lot of bully, superpower, rich, a lot. Okay, I think a lot of you have a lot of very held up feelings against USA over here. But the point is, USA has been a country which is like a self-proclaimed leader. Like the other countries are there, but then US will be like, see, I will tell you all what to do. I am doing it like this, you also please do it like this. So they have become some sort of a self-proclaimed leader, which some of the other countries feels that they are bullying them. Okay, or USA has been bullying them. Anyway, the point came about, USA clearly does not like certain countries for several reasons. We don't have to go into the reasons of it. Some of those countries are countries like Iran, North Korea, Russia. For each of these countries, the reasons are different, but then USA is not in good terms with them. Okay. Now, USA is not on good terms with them, and USA expects that everyone who is a friend of USA should also not be in good terms with them. You know, we all have that friend amongst our friend circle who will be like, see, I don't like that person, you also please don't talk to that person. We all have one toxic friend like that, right? Similarly, USA has said that in 2017, when there were a lot of global phenomena happening in Iran, there was a new nuclear, they started building upon their nuclear activities. North Korea started building upon their nuclear activities. Russia started going and annexing other parts, just like they did to Ukraine. At that point, they tried doing it to another country like Crimea. So in all this, not country, another region like called Crimea. So in all these situations, USA said, we need to have some strong law against all these things. And in 2017, United States of America passed a federal law. What is a federal law? A federal law is something that the country has passed and it will be valid in the country. Okay. So what the country did, and what is the name of that law? Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. It's very clear what America wants. If anyone is America's enemy, adversary is what? Enemy. Okay. America will use sanctions against them and they will try to somehow counter them. Now the question comes, what are these sanctions? Okay. Now before we go into what are these sanctions, America specifically brought this law so that it can punish countries having deep engagements with Russia, North Korea, Iran, etc. using economic sanctions. Which means, for example, if this is USA and there is a country which is on the other side supporting Russia, USA can impose the sanctions on any of these countries, Russia, North Korea, or Iran, and it can impose sanctions on even the supporters of these countries. So what happens is, USA has gone all out and said that if I don't like them, I don't want anyone else to be friends with them. If you're friends with them, I'm going to put sanctions on you. Now the question comes, what are sanctions? Sanctions means, have you all heard the term cancelling out in Twitter? Nowadays you see in the millennial language there is something like, hey, that person got cancelled. How many of you have heard that? Yeah, a lot of you have heard that. Those who are in this using these Twitter and Insta and all these things would have seen the term cancel, basically saying that if they are doing something bad which is not acceptable for everyone, what they will do is they will cancel out. Cancel out meaning nobody will be talking about them, nobody will be engaging with them. So sanctions are like that, but on economic terms, meaning USA, USA, as much as it is a bully and it is a very, authoritarian type of country, you also have USA because USA has a very vibrant economy, right? A lot of countries are dependent on USA because it provides them loans, it gives them a good market, it gives them some benefits in economy and so on. So what USA understands is that, see, they all need us for the money. So what we will do is we'll cut short the money. We will stop giving money to those countries who are friends with our enemies. Okay, so first type of sanction is there will be a prohibition of loans to the sanctioned people. Now, it need not always be countries, okay? Even if any businessman is engaging with what you can say an adversary of USA, he can be brought under sanctions because it's a US law. If a US businessman is been engaging with North Korea in nuclear deals and all that, they can put sanctions on him and his company. In that case, what will happen? He will not get any loans from USA. First thing. Second thing is that he will also not be able, there will be a prohibition on those sanctioned country or sanctioned people to procure goods and services. Which means if I am in USA, I cannot, after the sanctions are put on them, I cannot get imported goods from these countries or these people. Meaning what? For example, there is this country who was earlier giving oil or some resources to USA. Now USA imposed sanctions on it. And they were giving these resources, and that is why they were getting money. They were feeling all good. They were economically stable because of this. When USA imposes sanctions, what happens? They cannot import that good to USA, meaning they will not get the money required for it. Is this clear to all of you? Is the concept of sanctions getting slowly clear to all of you? There are observations which say USA is like that senior in college who likes to rag all the juniors. Again, coming to the point over here, adding to all this is all, so loans are prohibited, export import is prohibited. Next thing is the visa will be denied to those sanctioned people. So imagine you are a person, a businessman or something who's going on flying, or you are a citizen of a country on which USA has imposed sanctions, then you will not be able to enter USA. Finally, there will be absolutely no bank assistance for any kind of exports to the set of sanctioned persons. Even if from USA, someone wants to export goods to that sanctioned country, there will not be any kind of assistance given by the bank. So on the whole, if you look at it, this is basically like somehow cutting off all the economic supplies and forcing that country to be like, okay, fine, I will leave all my relations with that other country. I will be your friend only. This kind of a situation is being created for them. Understand? So these are the types of sanctions. Now coming into the Indian angle, I can see most of the time these in the responses also students are asking, then why this is not happening to India? I'll come to the story. See, what happened is, now again, this entire discussion of sanctions is being put. Why? Because when the Russia-Ukraine war started, before that, India had signed a deal with Russia. India said, we want certain missile defense systems from you. What are missile defense systems? These are not missile systems. Sometimes when you are in a country and there is an attack by another missile, you have to protect somehow, right? How do you protect? For example, I am in India. I am in part of the defense. There is a missile coming from China or somewhere. How do I counter it? There will be a system from where I launch a missile from here and somehow cut off that missile that is coming from China. I destroy it from there. The kind of systems that destroy the enemy's missiles is called as a missile defense system. So India was going on feeling that, see, India needs some good missile defense systems. Why? Because India is already developing one, but India feels like, okay, if it is a Russian system, it will be a little bit more stronger, it will be a little bit more powerful. So India wanted missile defense systems from Russia. Russia was like, cool, I'll give you all the missile defense systems, and Russia agreed to it also. But then who did not like this? Obviously, USA does not like this. Why? Because USA considers India as USA's friend. So over the time, USA has been going on telling India, see, you don't be friends with Russia. You please don't, you maintain some kind of a distance from them. But India has been like, see, this is our country, our priority. We will decide what to do. Okay. Now, this got worse when the Russia-Ukraine war started happening. When the Russia-Ukraine war started happening, every other country was against Russia. Every other country, which is like a developed country, they were against Russia. India, at that point, India maintained a stand which said that, see, we are not going to talk about the war or anything, but we have already signed a deal with Russia and we will go forward with the deal. Okay. Now, at this point, USA tried convincing India a lot. USA even tried threatening India. You know what USA did at that point? USA showed, now Turkey, there is another country called Turkey. Turkey is a good friend of USA. Imagine, they are very close friends also. Turkey also had this small wish to get some weapons from Russia. Turkey got the weapons. USA did not look anything else. USA imposed sanctions on Turkey. So all the other countries were like, wow, they're such close friends, and USA has imposed sanctions on Turkey. For sure, USA will impose sanctions on India also. And USA threatened India also, saying that if you are not leaving your relations with Russia, we will impose economic sanctions on you. At this point, India made it loud and clear, and this was given, or the stand of India was given in the 2+2 ministerial conference. There was a conference whereby which the US defense minister and the security minister and all came to India. There was discussions over here. India said, you cannot bully us into this. We have our national interest. We have the priorities. We are going forward with this. Okay. So now USA started understanding, see, it's not possible to threaten India and get something out of India. You have to be good with India. Now let me ask you, is this the only reason why USA felt, okay, we should not be threatening India? Is there any other angle that you see was important over here where USA felt, okay, now we should not threaten India, we should back off a little bit? What else do you think? China, yes. Guru Prasanna has mentioned China. A lot of you, Sri Lakshmi, Suyash, Mohit, all of you have mentioned China. A lot of you have mentioned China. What is the deal with China? See, USA is looking forward for India's support to counter China over here. China where? In the Pacific Ocean region and in this entire Indian Ocean region also. USA does not want China coming up as a major power. Why? China is the next big economic competitor of USA. And USA is very concerned about competition. If there is any country that is like a budding competition, at that point, USA will be like, finish them off. Maybe a war, maybe something, but then they will have to finish them off. So, USA is not in good relations with China. And USA is expecting that whenever there is a China situation over here, India will help USA. Now, in this scenario, if USA is going on threatening India and India is being like, see, you please stay in your own field, don't come and try to threaten us, the relations between India and USA will be hampered. It will not be good. So at this point, USA said, okay, fine, we are backing off. We are not going to impose sanctions on you. And now there will be a lot of questions asked, no? They will be asking, hey, how is it that you have CAATSA? You have a law over there. Why are you not imposing sanctions on India? Now, to avoid such questions, what did they do? They went on to clearly amend the CAATSA and they said, for India, we are making exceptions. Now, do you understand why I told you this is a diplomatic win for India? How many of you agree this is a diplomatic win? Yes, yes, yes. Now, since you know the entire story, there is one small point also to be added. You have to know from a prelims point of view, because prelims you will have to have some factual information, right? This missile defense system that we were planning to buy from Russia. The missile defense system that we were planning to buy from Russia is called as the S-400 Triumph missile system. Okay, S-400 Triumph missile system, and it's developed by Russia's Almaz Central Design Bureau. The name of the bureau is not important, but understand it's from Russia. And this is not a new machine or anything. It has been used by Russian armed forces and other countries since 2007. It's just that we signed the agreement for it very recently, and we were hoping to get 5 regiments. Regiments means batches of S-400 missiles. Now, One other point why USA did not want this defense deal also to go forward was because S-400 is a high technology missile defense system which will collect electronic data from any aircraft it comes in contact with. Which means what? If you have you have the missile defense system, the missile defense system will constantly be looking over, okay, is anything coming to attack, is anything coming to attack, and if any missile or anything is there, they will actually get all the electronic data. Electronic data means what is the height it flows at, what is the maximum speed it can go at, all the important data of that aircraft will be available. Now, USA was concerned. Why? Because see, India is not biased or anything. India gets missiles both from Russia and from USA. So what has happened is India got the missile defense system from Russia, but India has a lot of missiles from USA. There is the Apache helicopters which are there. There are certain other missiles, the Falcon, this Falcon aircrafts which are there. We have got a lot of aircrafts and missiles from USA also. USA feels that using these Russian systems, Russia can somehow get the electronic data of all these missiles. So USA felt that would be a risk. That is why USA was going on saying, you please don't do this, don't do this. But India was like, we don't care. We have to go forward because this is a question of our own security. Now, to add on to this, as I told you, the legislative amendment exempts India from economic sanctions under countering at America's adversaries through Sanctions Act. So we got the legislative amendment done, and just a point over here, this legislative amendment, this bill is there, no? Like even in our parliament, someone has to present the bill. In this case, the bill was presented by an Indian origin member of USA Parliament itself, and it got passed. Now, one point is there. We are looking only at the positive side of this amendment. USA added one small thing in this amendment, which said that, okay, for India, we are making exemptions. We will not be imposing economic sanctions on India. But India should, or the amendment urges the US administration to use its authority with India and using this CAATSA waiver to somehow help deter aggressors like China, which means what they tried to do. They said, we will make you free from all economic sanctions, but you have to ensure us that you will support us and you will trade more army and more military. You will be having much more cooperation with us and not with Russia. And that has become part of the amendment. This is what we have, or this amendment's larger impact is the fact that on a good note, no economic sanctions, but on the other note, now we will start, or we will slowly start reducing our engagement with Russia, and we will have to have more engagement with USA. This is the catch of the CAATSA. Now, what is the significance of this? So, in the significance of this, you will understand that the India-US partnership is going to get extremely strengthened. Why? Because India is going to see this like a matter of trust. USA waived of all sanctions, or they said they will not be, India is completely exempt from all the sanctions which are there. So this is a good thing. It's a trust building thing. On the second aspect, again, all, as I told you, all the military equipment and all that, USA now. So that is also there. Next thing is, this will reduce India's dependence on Russia. Now there's a side angle over here. It serves in India's interest only to reduce dependence on Russia. Why? Because Russia is now slowly getting closer to China. Okay. So now Russia is getting closer to China means that in the course of time, Russia is going to be a little bit hostile to India also. So it is always better that India has a backup over here, and India can count on USA in the case of security relations. Final point is what is important. It allows India to maintain its strategic autonomy. What is strategic autonomy? Strategic autonomy means that each country has certain principles. Each country has certain principles and national interests. National interest means how it wants to lead its foreign policy. In this case, India did not want a country like USA to come and bully India into anything. and India got its way. So now the significance of the CATSA waiver is the fact that it has allowed India to maintain its strategic autonomy. Is this topic clear to all of you? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Now we have to go to the poll question. Perfect. With reference to, now look at the question properly, guys, and read the question properly. With reference to countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act, which was recently in the news, consider the following statements. It was meant to punish countries having deep engagements with Russia, North Korea, and Iran using economic sanctions. Sanctions under CATSA include a prohibition of loans to the sanctioned people. Okay, two simple statements. Which of the statements given above is correct? Let me launch the poll. Okay, you can start marking your answers now. I'm seeing all your responses here. Okay, let's see. 80% of you have marked the correct answer. What about the rest of you? Where are you guys getting confused over here? And what I personally feel this question, especially this question, is very simple question. It was meant to punish countries. Okay, you guys want to see the leaderboard? I'll first show the leaderboard. Otherwise, okay. Can you all see the leaderboard? There are people mentioned over here. There is quite, let's see, Bhumika, Avneet, Manish, Kirti, Robinson, Ushri. I'm not reading all the names. Please don't take an offense with not reading all the names over here. I'm just looking through the names and the names that are coming over there. Neelima, Ujishri, Shivangi, Alish, Saumyadeep. Okay. So you all can see the leaderboard for yourself also, no? Now, coming into this question, how did you guys get it wrong? First thing, it was meant to punish countries having deep engagements with Russia, North Korea, and Iran using economic sanctions. This is clear. First one is correct. Sanctions under CATSA include a prohibition of loans to sanctioned people. Is it because you saw sanctioned people? I told you it's not just sanctioned countries. It can be issued against individual people also. Okay. So this is also a second thing which is correct. Both 1 and 2 are correct. One other question that I saw a lot of you were asking is, how does India's dependence on Russia reduce? Why? Because when CATSA waiver has happened, I told you in the CATSA waiver and in that amendment which is there, USA has put this provisions that USA is waiving off all the things or all the economic sanctions that it might impose on India. In return, it hopes that India will be engaging more with USA on a military front, and it will not engage with Russia on a larger scale. So when that amendment is there, and obviously India does not want economic sanctions imposed on it, don't you think India will gradually start moving closer to US and not towards Russia? Because the moment India is like, okay, fine, we got CATSA amendment, now we'll go and have all the military equipment from Russia, USA will be like, we are cancelling the amendment. It's their own amendment, their own constitution. They'll be like, we're cancelling the amendment. We're putting economic sanctions on you. Understand? So this is a diplomatic way to say that after this now, India will have to engage with USA more. And when you engage with USA more, it is not possible to engage with Russia again. Why? Because Russia and USA, even though we have crossed over from the bipolar world and all, they are still adversaries. Understand? So is this clear? Okay, I think this is clear. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, fine, fine, fine. Now coming to the next topic, or before we go into the next topic, let me ask, how many of you wrote mains answers from my last discussion? When we were there, we discussed the weekly current affairs. How many of you wrote mains answers from there? Wrote. Oh, a lot of you have written. That's good. I was expecting it'll be like, ma'am, no, we couldn't write and all, but a lot of them have written and they've sent for evaluation also. Good job, guys. Now, here is one question that you can try writing for today. Very simple question. What is CATSA? Provide the significance for India of the recent waiver from the CATSA sanctions. So you can clearly mention what CATSA is. CATSA is a federal law. It was brought about in 2017. It puts certain sanctions on certain other countries. It is basically to counter all the countries which have deep engagements with Russia, North Korea, Iran, etc. Then you go on to say what are the significance. And significance, we discussed 3 or 4 points. You can write that also. It's a very simple question. It's a 10 marker. I hope you guys will try writing that. And with that, let's move on to the next topic, Indian citizenship. See, again, the core topic of Indian citizenship, as you can see, for example, what the citizenship is, how will you get Indian citizenship, all that is what you will study in polity. What is of importance to us is this context. Recently, the government has told the parliament that more than 1.6 lakh Indians have given up their citizenship in 2021. This act of giving up your citizenship is called as renunciation. Renunciation. This is the political term for it, renunciation, which means these people have renunciated their Indian citizenship. Now we have to understand what has happened. Why have these people given up their Indian citizenship? First thing. Second thing, the data also said after giving up their Indian citizenship, they went over and took the citizenship of where all? United States, Australia, Canada, UK. Now you're starting to get, no, what could have happened over here? Why are they giving up their Indian citizenship? Now we have to first understand the certain provisions related to citizenship in India. Okay. Now, when you are in India, you have the concept of single citizenship. Single citizenship means that if you are an Indian citizen, you can only be an Indian citizen. You cannot hold a dual citizenship. The moment, for example, I am an Indian citizen right now. Okay. I am doing all the process of getting some Dubai citizenship, which is there. Okay. The moment I become a Dubai citizen, my Indian citizenship will get cancelled out. Okay. Why? Because India will not guarantee dual citizenship to any person who is there as or who's deemed as an Indian citizen. Okay. So the concept of dual citizenship is not there in India. We are a country which provides single citizenship. Now, single citizenship for the whole of the country. For example, in USA, if you take, you are a USA citizen, but in USA you have separate states. No, you have Minnesota, you have Philadelphia and all that. So what happens is they are individual citizens of that state also. But then here, will you see anyone saying, I am a citizen of Tamil Nadu? No. You will hear, I am an Indian citizen. Why? Because in India, there is only one citizenship for the entire country. This thing, get it very clear in your mind. Now you have certain articles which are there in the Constitution. Article 5 basically deals with the citizens. See, most of us get our citizenship by this Article 5. Why? Because either our parents or our grandparents or anyone would have been in India at the time of the commencement of the Constitution. They would have been Indian citizens, and by virtue of that, we get the Indian citizenship. Okay. And by birth also, some of us get. If you're born in India, you get the citizenship which is there in India. Now, I know you will all have a lot of questions. Oh, what if a foreign person comes over here and the person is given birth over here? In that case, will they get Indian citizenship? No, they will not get Indian citizenship. The point is not just being born in India. Your parents or anyone also have to be in India, or they have not be in India. They have to be Indian citizens. Okay. So keep away all those twisted doubt of yours. I know all of you, most of you will have those twisted thinking. What will happen like this? What will happen like that? What you have to understand is Article 5 says that at the commencement of the constitution, citizenship is given for certain people. Article 6, 7 says that some people who were there, see, partition happened. When partition happened, there was a lot of confusion. Some people migrated to Pakistan. Some people, after migrating to Pakistan, came back from Pakistan to India. So a lot of things over there. Article 6 and 7 of the constitution deals with the people and the citizenship of the people who have migrated from Pakistan. Clear? Now coming into Article 8. Article 8 gives the idea that this introduces some other category called people of Indian origin. This provides the right of people of Indian origin who are residing outside India for purposes of employment, marriage, and education. You have to get it very clear here. People of Indian origin is not your NRIs. Non-resident Indians, no? Non-resident means what? Non-resident. From the word itself, what do you understand? Non-resident means they are not staying in India. They have not given up their citizenship or anything. Okay, they might have gone for the job or anything. They have not taken up the citizenship. Whenever they get leave, they come back to India. This is the non-resident Indian. Persons of Indian origin means, this is a political term which means that you have certain category of people, maybe at some point they would have held an Indian passport or their parents would have held an Indian passport, but they gave up their Indian citizenship. Okay, now they are of Indian origin. See, it doesn't deny the fact that they are not Indians or anything. They are of Indian origin, but they have not taken up. At some point, they must have renunciated their citizenship. They must have given up their citizenship or something, and they are part of another country right now. At some point, they're like, okay, see, we want to come back to our country. We want to have some kind of a relation with the country and all that. So at that point, India says, we cannot give you full-fledged citizenship now because you are a US citizen. We can categorize you as persons of Indian origin. And for persons of Indian origin, you have certain specific visa provisions and all that. Using these visa provisions, you can come to India, you can stay in India, you can have marriage or provisions, whatever is there, you can do all that. But you are not full-fledgedly considered as an Indian citizen. If you remain as a person of Indian origin for a long time, then you can apply for Indian citizenship if you want it. Is this concept clear to all of you? Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Now coming into Article 9. Article 9 deals with individuals who voluntarily acquire citizenship of a foreign country will not be citizens of India. This is specifically told by Article 9, which says that if you are, it's not like, I am applying for US citizenship and I'm getting US citizenship. In that case, they will not be considered as citizens of India. This is given by Article 9 in a very clear-cut manner. And finally, in your Article 11, which is there, it says it gives the Parliament, and note it down over here, only the Parliament can have the power to regulate the right of citizenship by law. Meaning what? You cannot have an individual state government making a citizenship law. You all remember that Citizenship Amendment Act which was quite controversial. It can be brought, or these kind of citizenship related things can be brought only by the central government. Why do you think so? Why do you think the central government or the Parliament, which is the primary body which is there, that is the only one having the power to bring citizenship related laws? Why do you think? Uniformity. Exactly. Otherwise, imagine in the central law, there is one citizenship law. In West Bengal, there is one other citizenship law. In Himachal, there is one other citizenship law. So what happens is so much of confusion. India is a very large country. We cannot have individual citizenship laws. To ensure uniformity, we have ensured that only the Parliament gets to make citizenship related laws. So these are certain articles related to it. Now coming into the point, why was this renunciation happening? See, you can see that most of the time, in search of better living conditions, better jobs and everything, people move out of countries. They migrate. And you know very well, these countries that I told you in the beginning, USA, UK, Canada, Australia, these are places where you have all your skilled laborers. For example, your IT, your engineers, your health professionals, teachers, all of them going and migrating over there. So the first thing is they go and migrate over there, and when they understand that the living conditions are better, so they somehow try to, because if you are there, you should get all the benefits of being there, right? So maybe what happens is once they reach over there, they realize that if you are a US citizen, the education of your children are going to be the amount that you have to pay is very less. The health provisions that you get are again very, very lenient. So what they do is they give up the Indian citizenship. So, in search of better jobs, living conditions, people can renunciate or give up their citizenship. For permanent settlement with family, you must have seen most of the time the son and the daughter and everyone will go to these countries. After some time, the elderly people who are here, they will also be taken, and all of them will migrate as a whole. So, what happens is for the permanent settlement with family, all the entire family goes and settles over there. So it's not just 2 or 3 individuals going for a job. The entire family, the parents, the grandparents, everyone goes and settles in these countries. Economic factors. See, in India, when you are there, for example, if you are business, you are involved in business and everything. But what happens is in India, you're not getting so many business opportunities. And there is a lot of law and order issues in India. So what happens is you have a tendency to give up your citizenship and settle out somewhere else. Okay, now apart from all this, due to unfavorable situations, see, you are understanding there is a climate change scenario, there is a lot of disasters happening. So you feel, see, being in India or being in our country over here might not be good for your safety, might not be good for your life and everything. So what happens is unfavorable political situations at home, man-made or natural hazards or disasters making it hard to survive, pushes people out of the country for safety reasons. Now, apart from all this, there are some other people who they might be facing some case over here in this country, so they run out. We all know the example. One example I mentioned is Mehul Choksi. So you must have heard him in the PNB scam, which is there. Him along with his very close friend Nirav Modi is the one person who have when the scam came itself, they left the country. They're like, okay, fine, now we'll take up some other citizen. He's a citizen of some Barbados or some island country right now. Okay, so if in the fear of legal action also, people leave the country. Now coming into the point where will all this have an impact on India? What do you think? When Imagine this. Let's put it out very plainly and clearly. There is something called as brain drain. Brain drain means what? See, the people who are going to USA and Canada and all are your engineers, health professionals. These are actually skilled people. Now, what happens is when they go away from here, there is a shortage of quality human resources in our country in all these fields, be it the manufacturing sector, health sector, education sector. We do not have enough skilled people. So there is an issue of a brain drain. Brain drain means your skilled people who have been trained in some qualities and abilities, they are leaving the country. The brain, the worth, that intelligence is getting drained from the country. Not only that, for example, if you are in India, we all know when we start our education, the amount of subsidies, the amount of benefits we get from the government. In fact, what happens is the government invests a lot on the youth of this country, especially if you are studying in government colleges, government universities and all that. You have very less fees being charged. There's a lot of benefits being given to you. Why is the government doing all this? Government is doing that in one day when they become in a good position, they will contribute to the country. Now what happens when you are in a good position? You go to US or Canada or UK. So what happens here? There is a loss of investment as the money spent in developing a human resource, meaning one individual, such as providing subsidized education, does not end up contributing to the country in the long run. Basically, that money is something that has gone wasted. So again, because of this is leading to some kind of a human resource shortage, financial constraints, and so on. One other point of financial losses If you look at the Global Wealth Migration Review report, which came out recently in 2019, India came second only to China when it came to high net worth individuals leaving the country. Who are these high net worth individuals? These are people who have earnings of almost 1 million and above in a year. So what happens is almost 7,000 high net worth individuals left the country in 2019, meaning they are going and settling in other places. Now, if these high net worth individuals were there in India and their businesses were there in India, we would have also have some kind of development, right? Why? Because their businesses are over here, there's economic activity around it, there's employment around it. But these people have gone about, they have taken their businesses also, and they have settled outside. These high net individuals are Indians who have gone out, they have given up their Indian citizenship. Adding to this, less taxes also. Indian government time and again has continuously taxed these high net worth individuals. And what has happened is, once they have left the country, the amount of tax that we get from them is also not there anymore. So, on the whole, when Indian citizens give up their citizenship, it is not a great scenario for India. What do you guys think? Do you think this is some kind of a phenomenon that needs to be curtailed? What is your opinion on this? Mehul Choksi is a person who has been accused of certain crimes, financial crimes, and the moment he got to know about it, he left the country. Okay, and he took up another country citizenship also, which is there. It should be controlled. Yes, we all understand. See, especially we are people, or you guys are people who are going to be civil servants. So you have to understand that the human resources of the country, the brains of the country should be over here. The thing is that we have to create better conditions for their development and for employment opportunities over here, not try to put them out or not try to somehow drive them out of the country. Okay, now coming on to the question. It's a simple topic. Consider the following statements with respect to citizenship of India. But the topic was simple. Question is not so simple. Hear it out clearly. Parliament and state governments have the power to regulate the right of citizenship by law. Article 9 of the Constitution provides the right of people of Indian origin who are residing outside India for purposes of employment, marriage and education. Two statements. Let's see if you can solve this question or not. Okay, the options are also clear. I'll launch the poll now. Just give me a minute. Okay, you can start marking your answers now. Question is, which of the statements given above are correct? Okay. I knew this. I knew a lot of you will not get this question correct. Okay, only 48% of you have marked the correct answer, and the correct answer is D for this. Think about it. What could have gone wrong? Okay, obviously the first statement, I'm pretty sure you guys would not have made any mistake. Parliament and state governments have the power to regulate the right of citizenship by law. That is wrong statement. Why? Because only the parliament can do it. Now comes the question. I won't show the leaderboard right now because I know a lot of you have messed up their perfect streak or the perfect record that they were having. I'll show it after this question, don't worry. Okay, now coming over here, what is the second statement? Article 9 of the Indian Constitution provides the right of people of Indian origin. Is it Article 9? No, it is not Article 9, it's Article 8. And that is why that statement is wrong. Now, do you understand why I told you this is a difficult question and it will be difficult for you? Anyway, not an issue. Everything is a learning experience, guys. Now, coming to the fourth topic, 1 year of Pegasus revelations. Let's see what is this Pegasus. What exactly is the problem over here? So, what happened is almost 1 year ago, it was found out that certain journalists, certain news people, certain politicians, their phones, their laptops, their computers, someone is spying over them. Someone. We don't know, even to date, we do not know what or how or what is the scenario of it. But what we know is it has been alleged that the government of India used certain softwares to spy on its people. And the software's name was, or not, I wouldn't say software, it's basically called something like a spyware. SPY WARE. A spyware. A spyware has been used to snoop over its certain people. Okay. Now, this is an alleged thing. Nobody has confirmed this. Nobody has given any ruling on this. So, this is an alleged thing that happened, and it happened 1 year ago. So, what has happened is right now, the Supreme Court of India is hearing a case related to this, saying that, so the case was filed by all the people who felt that their privacy was breached, and the Supreme Court is hearing the case at this point. So, now it becomes important from a prelims point of view and from a mains point of view. How so? From a mains point of view, this is at the core idea of cyber security. Can you imagine this? If you are all your records, all your call records, all the data you're sharing is being accessed by some power somewhere. So this entirely goes against the idea that we don't have any cyber security in the country. And on a prelims level, all these factual details as to what Pegasus is, what is the spyware, all these things become important. Now, a year has passed since the disclosures about the potential use of Pegasus spywares on targets in India, including journalists, politicians, cabinet ministers, holders of constitutional positions, etc. It's not a single thing. A lot of people have been or have said that they feel that they have been spied over. Now, coming into the point, what is Pegasus? And before we go into what is Pegasus, let's come back to an idea that we all are very familiar of. We all know computer virus. How many of you are familiar with computer virus? Either in a very bad way where your computer has got affected by a virus, or you have seen something like this. How many of you? Aware? Yeah. Yes. A lot of you. Yes. A lot of you have been aware. Now, you have something which are different variants of these kind of virus. What happens in the scenario of a virus? You have something, you might be receiving a mail or something which says, hey, you have won $1 million, or the king of Nigeria has chosen you as their next heir. You are going to receive this much of money. You will see some mail or some link, you will click on it. Next thing you know, the virus has gotten into your system. Now, when I say virus, the added implication of that is what does a virus normally do in the human body? In the human body, the virus gets in, it replicates. Similarly, in a computer, the virus gets in and it tries to go on replicating. It tries to attack all the files in it, all the different software in it. This is what a virus does. Okay. Now, this virus or this kind of an attack or this kind of something coming into a system can be of various types. Sometimes you will have certain things where, now what is when a normal virus comes into your computer, what happens? You will see that your system is slowly lagging. You're not able to use it in a proper manner. Slowly, some of the tabs will not work. Sometimes you will only see multiple tabs getting opened in your system. On the whole, the system gets totally messed up. Okay. Sometimes you do see after a point, how many of you seen that antivirus symbol that comes up again and again? It will be like, please download to ensure protection. Please download to ensure protection. The moment you download, what is going to happen? All protection is gone, system is done. Okay, so viruses can be of different types. One other type of virus is called as ransomware. How many of you heard about ransomware? This is a very bad position to be, actually. Ransomware means, okay, you've heard, some of you at least have heard. Now, in ransomware, what happens is, similarly, virus, something will come and attack your system, and the entire system gets off. Just one message which says, what is ransom? Normally, you must have heard ransom in kidnapping, right? When someone kidnaps someone and they'll be like, you give me 10 crores, you can take your child away. Similarly, here what happens is, all that system which has all your data, all your important things which is there, they will be like, you pay us this much of money, we will release your, or we will give free your system. They're not taking the system and going. The entire control of all the data in that system is being captured by this specific kind of virus, which is a ransomware. Okay, so once you pay that much amount of money, it will get released. You can take the data and go. Similarly, there is another type of virus which is called as spyware. What is a spy? Spy, do you think it will come and create so much noise? When the virus is coming, you will see that, okay, your system is hanging. Will a spy be like that? If you have a spy around, spy will be just like normal. It will be like, for example, you have different tabs on your phone. The spy will be like one other tab open over there. Nobody will bother about it. But what is the spyware doing? The spyware is taking all your data and giving it to, or copying it to some other place where it is needed. Okay, so Pegasus was a spyware. Now, you must be thinking, hey, what if I have downloaded Pegasus? We have no chance of knowing. We have no chance of knowing. Why? Because Pegasus is a spyware that is installed on the phones of the target victims without their knowledge. Okay, now in the case, for example, in the case of the earlier virus, now at least a little bit of us who are digitally literate will know, when you see things like, you have 1 million rupees, you will be like, okay, fine, this is a wrong message. Until you're that not aware of things, only you will go and hit on these things. Now, spyware does not come in this very decorated message. Spyware might come just in a very simple manner, saying that you have received a mail from your office, or you have received a mail from some other authority, and you will open it. Most of the times the mail will be titled, even, you have received a mail from TRI, you have received a mail from some other organization. You'll be like, yeah, government mail. Open it. You don't find anything odd in it. You read all the contents of it and you leave it. By the time you know it, the spyware would have been installed in your phone. If they want to install spyware. Okay, now you have to understand, spyware doesn't get installed in every other person's phone. If there is something worth spying, only they will install it on your phone or your laptops or anything. So what happens is, it is introduced via a innocuous link. Innocuous means what? Harmless. We will not find it to be something that is out of place or anything. It's going to be some very harmless link, and it is going to be there, that downloads the malware onto the device and uses zero-click attacks. Normally, when you have a normal virus which is there, each time you are switching on your system, you're going and hitting tabs, is where the virus gets replicated. In this case, even if you don't click, Pegasus or that spyware will do its job. Now, mind you, Pegasus is just one type of spyware. There might be other names and other different types of spyware also. Pegasus is a type of spyware that has done this, and it specializes in zero-click attacks. Zero-click attacks means I don't even have to open that link. That message which comes, no, try message. Even if I don't open that link also, even if I don't open that app also, the spyware gets installed in my phone. So can you imagine the seriousness of this? You cannot, and the precaution that you can take against it is very, very minimal. Why? Because you can be careful in a normal level, but what if it is doing these kind of things? You will not even know that there is a spyware on your phone. This is the difficulty, and this is the vulnerability of it. Now, Pegasus, especially Pegasus, is a very, very serious spyware, very, very difficult to trace, difficult to clean out type of spyware. It's developed by Israel's NSO group. Okay, so it's developed by Israel, and this is where the catch is. Okay, now when Israel developed this, Israel knew very well this is a cyber weapon. This is basically that, right? It has the quality of a weapon. It is capable of destroying the security of people. It's capable of destroying the privacy of people. It is a cyber weapon, and Israel was very well aware of it. Israel said, as per Israel law, Pegasus is graded as a cyber weapon and can be only sold to authorized government entities. Now, can you get the catch of this? Which means Israel, if it has developed Pegasus, and Israel agrees that it has developed Pegasus, if it is being used on Indian people or Indian politicians, the alleged idea is that Israel might have sold it to Indian entities. Get the idea? This is why, and this is not something that we could have proven, we have not proven yet. That is why we are using the terms alleged, because we do not know. The government has not come forward and said anything about this, so we do not know. But Israel maintains the idea that it can only be sold to authorized government entities. When I'm saying authorized, again the point becomes, if Israel is interested in selling it only, they will sell it off. It's not like, okay, give me, I have 1 billion, give me Pegasus. That is not how it works. If Israel feels, okay, we can give it to this government, they are an ally of ours, then they will give it to, or they will sell it to that country. This is the idea of Pegasus. Now, what is the impact of Pegasus? Look at this. What all Pegasus can do? Pegasus, it can be installed via all these sources: SMS, WhatsApp, iMessage, that is the normal instant message that you have. Any other kind of unknown vulnerability that is there in your phone can be utilized, and it can be installed onto your device which is there. Once it is installed, what happens is, what all it can attack? Your SMS, emails, photos and videos, calendar, WhatsApp chats, record the calls. Pegasus can itself record calls. It does not need anything else. It will gradually record calls itself. Your GPS data, it can activate camera even without you knowing it. You can activate the microphone, thereby whatever you are saying can be heard. It can access all your contacts. Can you see how dangerous this thing is? Imagine this. And now, to imagine this, you can just think of it. If Pegasus was there in your phone, how violated would you feel? Okay, so this is what even the people felt, and they have gone as for a case. Now, the major issues with Pegasus over here is, first of all, you are saying, and whenever this thing came about, the common idea given by a lot of people are like, this is for the security of the country. But the question is, how is this going to be for the security of the country? Why? Because there is no public interest involved over here. You are snooping on individual politician, individual journalist. How is this going to lead to a larger public interest? So there is no clear idea of public interest over here. This is a clear breach of privacy. Okay. Next thing is, it compromises democracy. How so? Now imagine this. Election is happening. You all have there are a group of people who have very strong political ideologies. They are saying like, no, we will not allow this particular government to come back into power. What happens over here is that you will not, all these records, all these things that you're saying will be recorded. In the time of election or something, maybe there might be some case against you. You might be in jail. You might not be able to put your vote. Anything can be used against you. It can even hamper the spirit of democracy. Why? I told you even in my earlier class, there was something called as Cambridge Analytica. You all remember that? In the context of Trump, I had told you how the US elections got, or allegedly it got rigged. Why? Because Cambridge Analytica was capable of understanding what are the preferences of people and giving certain ads against it. How many of you know about this? I've told you this in the last session. How many of you remember this? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So that again in this scenario also that can happen. It's basically like saying your phone is hacked, but you don't know it. Okay. So it compromises democracy. Framing of innocent targets. How many of you know about the Bhima Koregaon case? Bhima Koregaon case. Now, what happened is in Maharashtra, at the wake of a day, a lot of NGO activists, social activists, they got arrested. And they were said, and they were told that they are arrested because they are a threat to national security. They were branded as urban Naxals. Okay, somehow they were doing some kind of a supporting Naxalite movement or something. And you must see, these are all very famous, very acclaimed social activists who were there. Now they were like, what activism, what Naxalism are you talking about? They didn't know anything. But later on, it was proven that in their computers and laptops, even without them knowing, they were planted, or there were some evidences planted against them. So nobody knows what has happened over there. But the idea is that even their systems were some kind of susceptible to these kind of a spywares, and this spyware has put in some kind of evidences against them, and they are not even aware of this. So now can you see how innocent targets can be framed? Now clearly it also violates the IT Act. We have an IT Act, which is IT Act 2000. IT Act 2000 says in a very clear manner, if you have unauthorized access to anybody's phone, if you are inserting spyware, if you are illegally intercepting anyone's call. What is illegally intercepting? Sometimes, when you must have seen, when we had our normal landlines and all that, your call could be intercepted, meaning somebody could track your call, trace your call. So these kind of things are also illegal as the IT Act 2000. So basically, Pegasus software is problematic on moral, on social, and on legal levels. How many of you agree with this? Yes. Now, the legal angle of it, we have to explore a little bit. You have to understand all spyware related activities are illegal in India. Okay. So, if someone is putting spyware, if someone is selling spyware, if someone is using spyware, any of these things are illegal under the Information Act or Information Technology Act 2000. Next thing, the Supreme Court in the People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India said that telephonic conversations are covered by right to privacy. Meaning, if I am calling and talking someone, be it in any case, be it in the case of national security or integrity or sovereignty, whatever is the issue, if you are snooping over my telephone call, that is illegal. And that is what was being mentioned in this, People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India. The Supreme Court also mentioned that if at all, in the very, very exceptional cases only, you can breach this kind of a thing. You can track them only if it's been proven that, okay, for example, I am a very clear threat. I am like this global terrorist who has been listed under several things, and I am making a phone call. Now it is very clear whatever phone calls I am making, it can be traced because it might lead to some kind of a national, maybe kind of a crisis, or maybe some kind of a terrorist attack or something. But if I am a normal citizen of the country and I am making a phone call, then you cannot say I am threat to the national security and somehow snoop over. This has been very clear in the People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India case. Finally, the act of inserting spyware into a mobile or computer is also a cyber crime as per the IT Act. Now understand this. Based on all these angles over here, now what the problem is, the Supreme Court has taken this case. What is very, very commendable over here, not commendable, I would say, on the other hand, it's the opposite of commendable. What is very shocking over here is that till now, The Indian government has neither confirmed nor denied that it has deployed Pegasus for any operation. They've not done either of this. They've maintained a mum silent stand on this. Adding to that, the center has also refused to file a public affidavit before the Supreme Court, arguing that if at all even a public affidavit is being submitted, it would compromise national security. What is a public affidavit? A public affidavit basically says that it's not saying that we agree to it or we deny to it. It's just saying that, okay, we are ready to fight the case in the Supreme Court. They have not even filed that. They are saying that if we file it, that will, to say that also we somehow it will breach the national security, so we are not even filing an affidavit. So this case is in the stagnant scenario right now, and this is what is happening after 1 year of Pegasus revelations. How many of you find this quite surprising? Like, because we think we are very secure and everything, and somehow something like this happens, it leads us to question where is our privacy, where is our security? How many of you are quite surprised at this news? Yes, 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 yes. Even me. When Pegasus got revealed itself, I was also quite shocked as to, this news coming out, because we hear of this happening in your developed countries in America and all that. We hear it with much shock when it happens over here. And we suddenly, we might be like, okay, what is happening? So again, this is the scenario over here. So from your exam point of view, what is going to be important is, what is Pegasus? Who has given out Pegasus? What kind of virus is Pegasus? Is it a ransomware? Is it a spyware? What kind of virus it is? And on top of it, they could even ask you, okay, for example, if I'm asking you, do I have to click on any link to get Pegasus? No. Pegasus, it has to come to my phone, the link will come, the link will be there. It will start its work. I don't even have to click on it. That is why it's called as a zero click attack. I don't have to click on it, zero click. Even then the attack will happen. Okay, so you have to know all these factual details. From the mains point of view, you clearly have to know about cyber security, why we need cyber security, why we need data protection, and all that is the angle over there. Is it clear to all of you? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, that is clear. Now as we go further, here is a question. So it's time to revive back your lose any kind of mistake that has happened in the last question. With reference to Pegasus, recently seen in the news, consider the following statements. It is a ransomware manufactured by NSO Group of Israel. It can be installed on the phones of the target victims without their knowledge. According to the Information Technology Act 2000, all spyware related activities are illegal in India. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Okay, let me launch the poll. Okay, you can mark your answers now. Okay, it's supposed to be a simple question, but then again, only 70% of you have marked the right answer. What happened again? Why are you getting confused with these kind of things? Let's see. It is a ransomware. I told you clearly, ransomware is different from spyware. If these are two, if these concepts are same, would we have different names for it? Spyware does the work of a spy. Ransomware asks you for money. Remember, ransom, kidnapping. Think of that lines. Spy is what? Spy, you must have seen all these movies and all. No, what does a spy do? It snoops over. So it is not a ransomware, it is a spyware. So the statement is wrong. It can be installed on the phones of the target victim without their knowledge. That is correct. According to the Information Technology Act 2000, all spyware related activities are illegal in India. Yes, that is also correct. So what is your answer? 2 and 3 only. Okay. Now coming into Mm, 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 mm. There was one question I wanted to address over here. So yes, ransomware and spyware are same. One other point is, yeah, there was, okay, I'll just tell you this also. See, in India, in the case of whenever we talk about privacy, one very important other judgment, I have not mentioned it over here because in polity we'll be studying it in much detail, but there is a judgment called as your Puttaswamy judgment. Okay, the Puttaswamy judgment is what gave the idea that we all have a right to privacy and we have to, or the government has to protect it at any cost which is there. So in this point of view, when issues like Pegasus comes about, you have to understand it is against the fundamental right to privacy also. Because in the Puttaswamy judgment, it was mentioned that right to privacy is a fundamental right. Okay, so Shreya had asked me to discuss, please, this is, and I think it was relevant also. So now is it clear? Puttaswamy judgment, just an additional point over there. Now coming into the question related to this. Look at the question. The recent row means issue, over Pegasus spyware has brought forth the issues associated with state-sponsored surveillance. What is state-sponsored surveillance? State means your country. Sponsored meaning they are saying, ah, okay, fine, you go and do with it. State-sponsored surveillance means surveillance is spying or looking at, or trying to ensure that everything is going fine. Surveillance means that, for example, in your class when there's an exam going on, you will have surveillance by the invigilator. Similarly, you will be looked over. This is the kind of thing. Now what is the question asking? The question is asking, what is the issue of state sponsored surveillance? What is the issue of state sponsored surveillance? What do you guys think? First thing, against fundamental rights, against right to privacy, against right to dignity of life, can be used to attack innocent, people who might be just political adversaries. It is against the legal provisions which are there. A lot of issues, that entire table, that diagram which I had shown you, can be mentioned as issues. How many of you will try writing this answer? Yes, yes, yes. Lot of you have, lot of you. See, there are people who are saying, I have not started writing. Guys, see, are you planning to fix some time, some like, you have this thing that auspicious time to start writing? Nothing like that, okay? Start writing. Maybe one of these days, what happens is when you start writing only, you will be like, oh, sometimes some people will be like, wow, I'm actually a very good writer. I can write my UPSC answers nicely. Some of you will be like, oh god, I cannot write it all, but you will realize that only if you start. There is no specific auspicious time to start writing. Please start writing. Okay, now coming into the last topic of the day, DSR technique. Now you must be thinking this is some very complicated kind of science and technology technique, but surprise, it is not science and technology. It is related to agriculture which is there. And this topic I feel could be asked as a prelims question also. That is why we are discussing this. Now the context of this is, the state government of Punjab has fixed a target to bring almost 30 lakh acres of paddy. Paddy is what? Rice, under the direct seeding of rice technique. So your DSR is direct seeding of rice. I will explain what it is. Just listen out patiently. Now they are saying that in Punjab, what they want to do is they want to bring more area under this technique. But somehow the farmers of Punjab are not interested in it. As per the data, if you look, they are facing constraints to achieve this target, meaning the farmers are not so much interested in the DSR technique. So what is this DSR technique and why do we have to discuss about this? Now, what is this DSR technique? Let's just look at this picture, for instance. Can you see there is a machine over here? And what happens is, has anybody seen a normal paddy technique which is there when you have to cultivate rice? I just paint a picture for you. Just think of this. You have a field. First thing that they will do is the field will be in a very wet manner. They will full flood that field with a lot more water. Okay, once there is water and there's mud and all that, the field will be like in a very marshy kind of a situation. Now in this marsh, marsh means what? Very semi solid kind of mud which is there. There will be individual rice, what you say, seeds which are there. What happens is, these seeds will earlier be cultivated, or they will be like in a nursery setup. Nursery means what? A normal plant area where you cultivate it. The rice seeds would have already been cultivated. A little bit of it would have grown. From that grown area, that plant is plucked and it will be put into this field which is in a marshy thing. How many of you have seen this? At least in movies you would have seen, no? Yes, a lot of you have seen this. Now, one thing you have to understand is, it looks very nice, like, people are going and doing this. There are farmers putting the rice plants in a very nice way. There is a very picture greenery and all happening. But the reality is what? In India is a country that has severe water shortage. We do not have water enough to flood your paddy fields and then put the crops over there or anything. You don't have even proper resources whereby which after putting the paddy fields or after putting the rice plants which are there, there is proper oversight on this. In this context is where you have a technique called as direct seeding of rice, DSR. What happens in DSR is, in the traditional method, young paddy plants are raised by farmers in the nurseries first, and then these plants are uprooted from there and transplanted into a flooded field. Look at this picture over here. In DSR, what happens is, it can be a wet field, it can be a dry field. What happens is, this machine which is there, this will have all the seeds in it. It will do in this manner. Like, think about this. I want you to imagine. Most of you would not have seen these machines, so you have to imagine. This machine will be going on moving. As it moves, what will happen is, it will drill a hole in this mud. It will place the seed over there. Along with the seed, it will put some kind of a herbicide or anything which is there, and it will cover it up. So what it does is, it drills a hole, puts the seed, puts the herbicide, done. You don't need to flood the field. You don't need to waste so much water. You can do this technique in a very easy, clean manner. This is what is the idea of DSR technique, direct seeding of rice. In the earlier technique, what happened? The plant which is there is what is being put onto the field which is flooded. Here, this rice seed itself is directly put into the soil. This is a very good technique on a lot of things. Okay. Now, what is the technique which is there, or what are the advantages? First thing, it will save on irrigation. In the earlier scenario, imagine flooding an entire field. We don't have proper groundwater. We are going to face a water crisis by 2030, and we don't have enough provision to flood the fields. So in this technique, what happens? Almost 20 to 35% of water is conserved through this efficient water management practices. Okay. While for transplanting techniques, the fields have to be well puddled and well flooded and all that. In the DSR techniques, it can be applied even in dry fields. Next thing is, when in the earlier thing, you had a person, you had to have manual transplantation, and every other process had to be done manually. In the DSR, what happens? It requires less labor. And because it requires less labor, it is also very cost efficient. You don't have to pay up all these people to come and do this work. You can just hire this machine and the machine will do the job. Okay, so it reduces labor and drudgery. Drudgery means the hard work involved in it, by eliminating seedling, uprooting and transplanting. So this is considered to be something that is going to eliminate a lot of labor. It will reduce the cost also. Enhance fertilizer use efficiency. What is this enhanced fertilizer use? I told you the thing, it drills a hole, it will place some kind of a fertilizer, herbicide and all that, which means rather than taking your fertilizer and throwing it all over the field, specifically for each seed, how much fertilizer is needed, only that much is given. So it is a much efficient use of fertilizer. Okay, so here what happens is enhanced fertilizer use efficiency due to placement of fertilizer in the root zone. So look at this. If you have this, you have a hole being drilled, the seed is placed, along with the seed you have the fertilizer also placed, and when the seed starts growing, from the root area itself the fertilizer will start acting on it. Adding to this, it will also lead to early maturity of crops by 7 to 10 days. It helps in timely sowing of succeeding crops. There is no time wasted in trying to make the small plant, take the plant, put it into the field. All that time is cut short. You can do it in a time efficient manner. Now comes another angle over here, something that we might not always think. It will reduce methane emissions and global warming potential. I just want to know, I will explain it to you also, but can you just tell me, how is it that in a manual cultivation of rice, where you're putting so much of water, putting the seed and the plant and all over there, they are saying there is more methane emission over there in comparison over here? Is there any reason? How do you think? Yes, yes, yes. I am seeing a lot of answers coming from here. Dr. Chandrika has said marshy conditions release methane. There is a lot of overflooding. There is less. What happens? I'll tell you here. What happens in the normal conditions is you have your entire field put full of water. That leads to some kind of a marsh. When water is there so much, it's not just that the rice will grow. You will have all these unwanted weeds and animals, small animals and everything that will grow when all these microorganisms and organisms are over there. See, methane is being released even by normal plants and every other thing. So what happens is when there's an increased growth of organic content, it releases methane. In this case, you are not flooding anything. You're just applying small holes and covering it up. So there is less methane emissions in this scenario. Okay. And finally, there is very less disturbance to the soil structure. Just drilling, putting it. In the earlier thing, you're taking the soil, putting water, everything is mixed into a khichdi form, and there you are cultivating it. So all these advantages are there. Then, why is it that the farmers of Punjab are not interested in the DSR technique? Do you have any guesses? Let me see how many of you have any guesses over there. Yes, yes, yes. There are some good responses coming. The challenges of it, I told you just now. In India, unemployment is a huge problem. Okay, unemployment is a huge problem, and you will see that in the case of this, you are eliminating labor. One machine is coming, and the job that was earlier done by 8 to 10 people, all of them have lost their jobs. Only now the driver is needed for this machine. So now what is happening? Do you think people will knowingly be like, okay, bring DSR technique, I will give my job away? No. So the first thing is the employment problem. Second thing is aversion to new techniques. Most of the time, the traditional farming communities are very well versed in the techniques that they use. It becomes very difficult for them to incorporate any change. I'll tell you another example for this. How many of you heard about drip irrigation? Yes, drip irrigation means, earlier, how will you irrigate? Irrigate means what? Water your plants. You will take water in a pipe or something and you'll be like, oh, put full water. Or you take it in a bucket and you'll throw water all. Now in India, when there's water shortage, do you think you have so much water to keep and throw and put everywhere? In drip irrigation, what happens is constantly, for example, if this is a field, you have your plants over here. Okay, several plants are there. You will have a pipe going on top. what happens is at some particular time the pipe will be switched on and the water will just drip little bit droplets based on how much the plant needs. Okay, now it will drip, 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 drip. When the tap is closed, the dripping will stop. Next time at regular intervals it is dripped and given. Rather than just throwing water on all the things, what will happen is when you have drip irrigation, your individual plants get the benefit of it, and on top of it there is no water shortage. But do you think this is such a good technique? Indian farmers are very, very skeptical towards it because they are so used to using large amount of water. When you say this is actually work, they're like, will this work? This is just drops of water. How will this work? So they are very averse to new technology. First thing. Second thing is lack of interest is also very close to the aversion of new technologies. Lack of skill and information. You have to understand, in the normal cases there is the labor charge per person. If you look, in the case of to a transplant your plant, you have to give rupees 5,000 per acre. But what happens is the farmers are ready to pay that right now because they don't have enough skill. So somehow some machine coming over there and doing this, they feel that they are not utilizing their whatever knowledge that they have, and this new machine which is there also requires so much of skill. So they are being very not very happy about it. So they have to be trained in these skills so that they can appreciate it. Last thing, there are additional inputs required. The DSR technique does not need extra labor, but it needs several sprays of weedicides to control weeds. So now what happens is, in the normal situation which is there, in the normal transplantation which is there, in the normal manual thing which is there, all these different water being over there, right? Because of water, the weeds will initially grow. After a point, when it gets a lot of flooded, what happens is the weeds will after a point it will rot and die out. But here, to eliminate the weed, you have to put extra weedicide. So the farmers are like, why do we need this new technique where we have to put extra weedicides which are there, and on top of it we are losing out our employment also. So because of all this, they are not very happy with the DSR technique. Now, what is your question on this? Or what will be the probable question? They could ask questions on what the transplantation process of rice is, because in the recent times it's been clearly seen that UPSC has this attraction towards agriculture. We do not know why, but then agriculture related terms, agriculture related technologies are constantly repeated. So they could clearly ask you, what is transplantation in the case of rice? They could ask you what DSR technique itself is. In DSR technique, they could go into a detailed question also about DSR technique, because not only in Punjab, even in Haryana, they are planning to implement this. So over the time, any other state which has more amount of rice cultivation might be somehow involved in this. So it is possible that this technique is going to be there in news. Is this concept clear to all of you? Yes, yes, yes. Now, before I go into the poll, I wanted to share something with you over here. See, every other time when there's rice cultivation, India and China are two countries we keep on saying, oh, who is the bigger producer? Because we have very similar conditions. China is also a major producer of rice. Until recently, it was believed that China had the oldest rice cultivation which was there. Okay, or China is the country that started rice cultivation. But very recently, through some researches and some evidences that we have got in the Harappan sites and all, it was proven that India had cultivated rice 400 years before, even before that first Chinese rice cultivation happened. Meaning, the oldest rice cultivating country in the world is India. Okay, so this again could be asked like a history question also. So I thought I will share this information with you so that you can understand. Okay, rice cultivation for us has been something that we have been from our prehistoric times onwards. Okay, so this is the did you know part. Now coming into the poll question, with reference to with reference to direct seeding of rice technique, which was recently in the news, consider the following statements. Unlike, read the statements properly, guys. This is your leaderboard. I will be showing the leaderboard after this. Unlike manual transplanting, the DSR technique requires less labor and is also pocket friendly. Okay. While for transplanting techniques, the fields need to be well puddled, the DSR technique can be applied in dry fields. Paddy cultivation using the DSR technique causes more GHG emissions as compared to the conventional method. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? You have 4 options. Let me just launch the poll. Okay, you guys can start marking the answers now. GHG is greenhouse gas. Okay. Okay, again, 80% of you have marked the right answer. This is a good number actually. Now look at this. Why so? What is the problem with the third statement? Okay, first, okay, leaderboard. Then we will discuss the question. Let's see. Okay, Avneet, Kirti, Kiran, Saurav, Ujishri, Akshara, Kranti, Srishti, Shweta, a lot of you, Swapnil, Shubhangi, Varsha, Rashmi, Saundarya, a lot of you who've done all 50 on, or who've got all 5 questions. Good job, guys. Good job, because I know some of those questions would have been especially the third one, I believe, would have been tricky. So good job over there. Even if your name is not shown on the leaderboard and you still have managed to get the 5 questions right, I am appreciating all of your efforts. Congrats to all of you who've got all 5 questions correct. Okay, so don't be stuck up on the fact that, oh, my name was not shown, my name was not read out. Don't be. This is not the exam that you have to clear. Which is the exam you have to clear? The prelims and the mains and everything of UPSC. Okay, now coming into this question, what is the problem over here? Paddy cultivation using the DSR technique causes more GHG emissions. No, as compared to the conventional method, it actually causes less GHG emissions. So this third statement is wrong. The right answer is 1 and 2 only. Okay, so this has been done. Now we have reached an end towards the session. Now I am open for questions from your side, which means again, let me tell you, if it's already very clear to all of you, let's not go into what you say, some concepts. If any concept has not been clear to you, let's start venturing into it. Okay. Any major questions that... Okay. Uh, okay. Let's see. Lot of spyware available in the market. Even I'm cyber security expert. Okay, fine. Questions, guys? Any other questions? Um, Single transferable vote. Okay, single transferable vote. I'll deal again. Okay, single transferable vote means that in the elections, rather than saying, okay, single vote means what? I'm saying I want this person, or I like this person, I don't like this person. So I give a vote for the person I like. But here, what happens is, using my voting right, I'm giving preferences, which means what? I'm giving first preference to people, I'm giving second preference, I'm giving third preference. In any scenario, what happens? For example, there were 3 candidates. The person I gave first preference did not get so much of votes, or did not get so much of first preferences. Meaning what? So that person will be out of the election. But even then, that doesn't mean that my vote has become invalid. Why? Because I have given second preference and third preferences also. So my second and third preferences will be assigned to the people who are left back in the race. So the idea is my vote, even though it is only my one vote, it is being transferable from different candidates or two different candidates. Is this clear to you? Okay. Sai Prashant has asked, how would filing a public affidavit compromise national security? See, in the case of filing a public affidavit, what happens is the government is sort. See, this is an argument given by the government in the first place. So we do not know what exactly is the national security angle that they are going for over there. But if we had to make an assumption, the idea is that when the government comes about and says a public affidavit saying that, okay, we were aware of this or we are not aware of this, it becomes very formal. When it becomes a very formal thing, so you will have counter arguments, you will have a lot of people saying that, no, how is it that you are, for instance, the government is saying we were not aware of Pegasus. So don't you think the entire country will be questioning, then what are your intelligence agencies doing? Your intelligence agencies will be aware of it, right? So that is a national security issue. Now, on the other hand, the government is saying we are aware of Pegasus. Then what will happen? Then the question comes, if you were aware of it, then why did you not do anything about it? So in any case, this is like a lose-lose situation. Whatever you say, you will be in the spot. Okay, maybe that is why they have not given a public affidavit yet. Let's see. No, Nivedita has asked, ma'am, can we get citizenship directly when we go from one country to another without any formalities? No, 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 no. No, Nivedita, you will have a set of formalities. Even in US, it's not that easy. You have to be there. You have to be for at least, I think there's a condition of being there for 10 years. Then you can apply. Then you have, there's a lot of procedure. It's not like you will land over there and they'll be like, okay, fine, you come. There is one other kind of thing though. I'll tell you this. And there is something given by UAE government called as the golden visa. Okay, so golden visa, the idea is that you will be, if you are like a very exemplary person or you're a very rich businessman or something, sorry, sorry for that, if in that case they will grant you a golden visa and you can go and be in Dubai and UAE and all that, and after a course of time they will grant you even UAE citizenship. So that is a much more less tedious, what you say, tiring procedure which is there. UAE does that because it's trying to attract a lot more population, lot more skilled people into the country. Okay, so other than that, in all the other cases you will have to have a lot of formalities. Okay, okay. Next question is a lot of questions about VIP. Okay, okay. VIP. Well, let's put this over here. See, you are asking me as to why VIP. Let's see that question again. Why VIP has no priority? Okay. I think the VIP, the idea of VIP in the case of presidential elections, what happens is, see, this is for a prime post in the country. Okay, normally the whip utilizes his role when it comes to legislations and everything which has a political angle. Okay, for example, if a certain bill gets passed in the Lok Sabha, it is considered like a win for the ruling government and a loss for the opposition government. Now the president election, so that has a political implication over there. But the president election, though it is political parties fielding their candidates, at the end you are electing the president of the country. It is a post that is much beyond politics, right? So there you cannot have a party authority coming and telling you, you vote in this manner. Why? Because you are being a representative. For example, if I am the MLA and I am placing my vote, I am basically representing all my people for that president election which is there. So in that case, I should be allowed to speak out of whatever preferences I have. Understand? That is why VIP does not have a priority in the president elections. Okay? Next question. Let's see. Okay, let's just see. There was a question that asked about, depends. Simran has asked if a foreigner wants to take, I'm losing out your questions because there are a lot of questions coming in. Just give me a moment. If a foreigner wants to take Indian citizenship, will his or her previous citizenship of that country be cancelled, or what will happen? Please explain. See, if a foreigner wants to take Indian citizenship, according to Indian rule, you can have only that single citizenship. So what happens is they will have to let go of that and come and take Indian citizenship. Understand? But again, to for a complete foreigner to take Indian citizenship, it's quite difficult. It's a longer procedure than the others. So again, in the course of that procedure, you will have to give your citizenship of the other country, because if you are going to be an Indian citizen, you will have only single citizenship. Okay. mm, Shruti, what is the question? The proposers and seconders are MLAs or MPs or normal person? Sarabjit, these are electors that are your. It can be MLAs, it can be MPs. It's not normal persons. Okay. If it was normal persons, even I could have stood for elections, right? Because I can, or I'm pretty sure I can garner the support of these many people. So it's not normal persons, it's electors. It's the people who are MPs, MLAs, and so on. Okay. Manda Azar in Telangana, I believe, states many politicians reveal their vote publicly in the media. Is it not a crime? Yes, as per this president elections, they're not supposed to be doing it. It is a crime. Um, Next thing. Returning officer for various elections is different. Yes, Shivangi, for different elections, the returning officers will be different. For example, in the case of your normal elections, the returning officer will be appointed by the chief election commissioner, which is there. So it's very different. It's not always that the Lok Sabha secretary general will be the election. Only for president elections, you have the secretary general of the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. Okay. Utpal has asked an interesting question over here. Indian government can Pegasus be used in any advantage? See, Pegasus, the only advantage you can use it is like a cyber weapon. If we are fighting a cyber war against some other country, then you can use it. Even in the case of India, if to track down very high profile criminals and terrorists and all, you can use it. But the problem happens when that line is breached and it is used on normal individuals. That is the problem over here. Okay. So someone had asked another question. Charu Singh Rathod had asked, ma'am, you talked about when Indians move out, their valuable contributions to economy is not compensated, but they provide remittances back to the country. Charu Singh, we were talking about the instance where they're giving up their Indian citizenship. When they're giving up their Indian citizenship, they need not send back remittances, right? So the entire article, the point where I was going on saying about the brain drain and everything was on the context of them renouncing their citizenship. Once they have renounced their citizenship, why, and they've taken their family and settled, there's not an issue of remittances being into place. Okay, so that is why the remittances are not going to compensate for the loss that will be created when the human resource renounces their citizenship. Okay. One question that has been asked is by Rohit. Do we have to write a way forward in every question? Rohit, see, in most of the questions, because UPSC always wants you to end your answers, and it's not like UPSC has given a guideline, but it always pays off well if you end your answers like giving a solution, giving like a sort of, okay, in this way we can go in that direction. It shows to the examiner that you are a person who not just tells problems but also finds solutions. So my advice would be write a way forward. But one extra point I'll tell you, way forward is not the same as conclusion. Okay. Even if you write way forward, you have to write a separate conclusion for your answer. Okay, Rohit? Um, let's see. Mohit has asked, should we go for dual citizenship? Mohit, see, let's put this into a perspective over here. We are a country that is already having a lot of population. We have, as Indian citizens itself, we have a lot that we have to care for. This idea of dual citizenship in the Indian context, especially because India is a country that is a very vulnerable from a security angle also, can be misused on a lot of fronts, first thing. Second thing is, because we already have so much of a population, the idea of a dual citizenship, we, even though even if it's actually there on a practical level also, what will happen is this is going to add to our existing burden, so again the government might not do it. The third thing is, look at the actual reality over here. You have Indian citizenship. India is trying to ensure that you have some kind of an allegiance to the country. When you have dual citizenship, your allegiance is divided, and again India is not planning to, or India will not look forward to something like this. So I don't think dual citizenship is the solution to the problems that we are facing. The solution would ideally be to have better conditions, better business opportunities, better educational opportunities in the country, so that they do not leave and renounce their citizenship. Okay, Mohit, does that make sense to you? Is that clear? Kapil has asked, isn't CATSA against WTO or GATT guidelines? Kapil, when it comes to WTO or GATT, it primarily deals with trade distorting activities. So your point is, when it comes to your import and export, right? Now, there is also an added thing in the WTO, what you say, the charter, which is there, which says that you cannot have trade distorting activities. That is the first thing. But you also have this trade distorting activity can be kept aside in the case of national security, or when any country is trying to use these provisions to curb the sovereignty of another country. For time and again, this is the provision that China, see, by that logic, China is a country that has done so many different activities which are there, so many kinds of economic malpractices China does, but China is still part of WTO in a very happy manner. There are no any provisions or anything is not being worked against China. Why? Because China every time builds up the angle of national security. China says that if we don't do this, we are going to have attack from there. They build up this entire argument around the sovereignty of the country and national security. Similarly, when it comes to the US sanctions, they are able to go forward with it because there are these exceptions even in the WTO guidelines. Does that make sense, Kapil? I hope that clears your doubt. Hmm. Sudarshan has asked, way forward should be written after or before the conclusion? Before the conclusion. You write your intro, body, way forward, conclusion. Ayushi, what is your question? See, the problem is your questions keep on scrolling. So what happens is, when it is all coming together, you can just see a very, what you say, the questions that keep staying over there. So Ayushi, you can tell me your question at this point. And let's see. Okay, Ayushi has not given out the question again. I'm looking forward for your question. Anyway, before this, Ayushi, okay, is one has the right to stay in India for a very long time without having citizenship of India? If not, then how many ones can one stay? No, 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 no. Ayushi, see, in India, you can stay if you have, for example, if a foreign person has come, if they've taken the visa for it, there are certain visa conditions. You can, and it varies also, ideally for 90 days, and after 90 days it can keep getting, if the situation is still existing, they can keep extending their visa. At the time of corona, there were some USA people who were there in Kerala and all that. They'd come to visit, and corona started happening, and they had come based on the visa. So what happened is, they wanted to go, they didn't want to go back because Trump was creating a lot of mess over there. They felt it was better staying in Kerala itself because they had better health facilities over here. So they're like, we didn't want to go back. But the government said that, see, your visa provisions are getting over, you have to go back. Okay, so this visa provisions can be extended under exceptional circumstances, and it got extended for this man. He was actually a very senior citizen sort of a person, so he got extended, his visa got extended by a few more days. But then again, it's all very subjective. It's not like a law, okay, you will extend it for 3 months, you will extend it for 1 month, nothing like that. It depends from case to case basis. Okay, Aishi, is that clear to you? I was looking at some other questions over here. Let me. Sri Lakshmi is asking, this is a valid thing. See, for example, if I'm talking, you must also have experienced this. I'm talking to a person about buying something, and the next thing I know, I open my phone and I'm seeing the, what you say, the ads for example, one day I'm calling my friend and saying, my slipper broke. I have to get a new one. When I open the phone after that, it's like new offer deals on Mintra for 99% off, for that, for this, for all slipper ads I'm seeing. How is this? Now, again, that I wouldn't say they are snooping over. What is basically done is, you all remember whenever you install apps, they ask you this, give access of app to all call records. And you would be like, allow, allow, allow. You would have given permission for everything. What basically happens is, when you make calls, when you are in a certain location, when you switch on your camera, in all these situations, they are getting the data from you. That data is what is being misused or exploited to show you the ads over here. So I wouldn't say they have installed a spyware. It's basically you have given permission for that app to take your data. That is why we are seeing all this. Is that clear, Sri Lakshmi? When it comes over here, next question that I want to know is, from 1 minute, 1 minute. Mansi has asked, this is a question that I even saw earlier. What will the other countries feel when CATSA waivers are given just to India? See, this is all a question of diplomacy. India was able to go through the diplomatic route and stand its ground and get what it wanted. Now, India could do that. Why? Because India happens to be a powerful nation when it comes to the Indo-Pacific scenario over here. The same thing did not happen to Turkey. Why? Turkey is a good friend of USA, and still they went on to do this, because with Turkey, USA is not going to have so much of use coming in the coming years, maybe. So that is why with Turkey they took a stand like that. Understand? So this is a question of diplomacy as to what country can gain what kind of a benefit that is there. So it's not like the other countries will be like, why didn't you not give me CATSA waiver? Why USA? They won't do that. Why? Because they know very well that some countries happen to be much more important from a geostrategic point of view. Okay. Mm. Next thing, there was another question that I wanted to answer. This question was asked by a person with my same name, Sneha. Sneha is asking, there are too much. There's a lot of information given in the handouts. How do I make notes? So I, even in the last session, I had told you, don't see, once you listen to the session, if the concept is clear to you, then at that then and there itself, you write it in short notes and keep. Don't have an extra round where you will sit and read the handout and make notes from the handout. If what you're sitting in the session is very clear to you, the idea is you don't waste time again and again and again reading the same thing. You sit for the session, understand it properly. Once you've written the poll question, the answer, or not, then you write whatever points that I go and see. I put all the most important points in the PPTs. So what you can do is rely on it. You can write the important points which are also over there, and complete your notes like this. Okay, does that make sense to you, Sneha? Shubham, you can tell me what is your question. So you again, Shubham is what Shubham has said. I have not answered his questions from last 3 to 4 months. Shubham, you please put your question right now. Let me see. Shubham has not put the question. I am not seeing any question of Shubham. Shubham, there is no question. Shubham has just given me a statement which says Russia has protected India from 1960s. Yes. Okay, is typing, you're typing. Okay. Now that does not mean you all tell me like you've not answered my question. Okay, I'll tell you one thing, guys. See, I know you are having all these questions because you all are so involved in the sessions, and I'm very, very happy about it. Because whenever I see your questions, I know you all are involved, you're thinking about it, you must have enjoyed some part of the session. That is why you're asking questions. So if at all, because you do understand that like a lot of students, and there are like even more a lot of questions, if at all your question does not get answered, you can send, even after the session, you can send an email, you can talk to the mentorship helpline. You can send an email and you can say, okay, you please refer it to whoever, whatever is the faculty, whatever is the thing, and they will be able to give you an answer for it. Okay, so please use that route also. Don't take an offense with for these small things. The idea is you have to clear the doubt in some manner, right? How can Russia be a threat to India? Shubham, seriously, how can Russia be a threat to India? Russia is, if it joins hands with China, Russia. Okay, let's look at this. What is Russia right now doing? Russia is right now attacking its own. What you say earlier, these were all commonly called as a great Russian state, which is there. It is attacking Ukraine, killing people over there, using all these very poisonous weapons over there. And you are still thinking, what will Russia do to India? If India is siding more towards US at that point, Russia will be against India, saying that, see, now you are also going on to the US side, you are going to be a threat to us. The next thing you know, whenever there is even a small crisis that is there, Russia will support China. China will be the one doing all the dirty work, but then it will have Russian support. That is how Russia is going to be a threat to India. Is that clear, Shubham? Okay. I think I have dealt a lot of questions for today. If you have any more questions, you are always free to put it out. You can send an email to Target IAS. You can refer it to the faculty, or you can ask what is the solution for it. You can put on whatever session it was there. For example, if it's a doubt related to the session, you can mention the session. You can talk. You can say, okay, if you can refer it to whoever is the faculty over there, they will be able to help you out over there. So please do this, guys, and I hope this session was productive for you. So a lot of you have been asking me about prelims tips. So in that case, I just have one tip for you for all these weekly current affairs sessions. Study current affairs along with these sessions. Don't be that person who says that, okay, fine, let's see current affairs, let it keep happening. 2 months before the prelims, I will do all the current affairs. No. UPSC is not dealing with current affairs like this on a day-to-day basis, on a session that we are doing. You try making notes, crisp notes for us. For example, that last DSR technique, how will you make note on it? DSR technique against versus transplantation, implemented Punjab, Haryana, uses or reduces GHG emissions. Whatever you are likely to forget, put it as a note, maybe in 3-4 lines, finish that topic. Understand? So make proper notes, study current affairs on a daily basis, and I hope to see you all again in my next sessions which are there. Until then, please stay safe. There's a lot of diseases and all doing the rounds right now. So please stay safe, take care of your health, and happy learning.